Welcome to Silicon Valley Impact, where business insight meets startup innovation. And now, please give a warm welcome to your host, Brian Sparks.
Brian, did that get you fired up?
Oh, man. Yeah, baby, I did, man.
It did.
We got Chris in the room here. He's like, what did I just walk into?
Yeah. If you and I had hair, Chris, I'd part your hair right down the middle. I'm telling you.
I got goosebumps.
I feel like I need a gun that shoots T-shirts in the stands right now.
Welcome to Silicon Valley Impact. My name is Brian Sparks, and we have a special edition for you today. We are live from El Segundo in Santa Monica.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and we have Vishal here, and we also have Chris in the house. But we'll talk to Chris in a second. But Vishal, welcome back, man. It's your second time around.
Absolutely. In like, what, 2 weeks?
Yeah.
3 weeks?
Yeah, I think you're coming back every week from now on, aren't you?
I'll see you guys next week.
You're going to get the SNL version jacket that we give out here for being
Awesome.
a 5-time real quick.
Awesome.
Well, thanks for bringing us down to the Sidebar Summit here in Santa Monica for LA Tech Week. Got a big lineup today on the show. But kick us off, Vishal, a little bit. Tell us about Sidebar Summit, because that's what brings us all together here today. Give us a little overview about that, and then we'll talk a little bit about the guests. We'll bring Chris in, and we'll talk a little about Tech Week.
Okay, awesome. So Sidebar, before I get into Sidebar, so today we have an amazing lineup. We have 2 or 3 amazing venture capitalists on the panel, some amazing entrepreneurs who have just not revolutionized technology, but in terms of moving the frontier of technology. So Sidebar is very simple. It is, I don't call it a networking event, I call it a relationship building event. So we do this once a month, and we bring the best of the brains in terms of the innovative ecosystem, and we have a thoughtful discussion around technology. Very simple. And what we try to do is we try to bring leaders who are in a particular domain and try to focus on that particular topic. Usually we have about 50, maybe 60 people, try to make it a little bit more intimate. But today, because of LA Tech Week, which is a humongous thing, that's another reason why we're here, we have about 400 people registered already.
Now, talk a little bit about how long you've been doing this. And you've been curating these great speakers, these great connections, these great relationships. I mean, if I think of Silicon Valley relationship builders, Vishal's top of mind.
Oh, well, thank you for that.
Tell me how you got into this, why you got into this, and really what's it for? I mean, it's one thing to bring people together and say, hey, let's see what we can create, but you've been intentional about this.
Absolutely.
So walk us back on how you got this started. It's been going for a while, and then let us know how others can get involved if possible.
Absolutely. So we started just meeting for a long time, years. And I would say about 2-3 years ago, we came kind of a formal structure around it. We used to call it a no man's group, no person's group now. Mm-hmm. So anyway, so what we did was, in terms of really focusing in on a structured way of really how do you really deliver amazing content. And one way to deliver content is through stories of successful people who've kind of worked up their way in terms of either their careers and all the things which are against them when they start a company. Mm-hmm. Right? Starting a company is not hunky-dory all the time, right? It's not always a Google or a Microsoft, and there's a lot of challenges that happen. And some of these amazing leaders that are amazing leaders today had the same challenges. So it's, hey, if you can do it, I can do it also kind of mindset.
Yeah. And sometimes I forget this, Brian. We all sit down, we're friends here, and you don't do this when you're around your friends. Say, hey, reintroduce yourself. But we do have a lot of audience members who are hearing you for the first time. They didn't hear you. So give a quick run-up about what you do and how that plays well with the Sidebar Summit.
So absolutely. So I run a single-family office. Basically, what that means is one family made a shitload of money, and my job is not to lose it. And what we do is we've been investing into different asset classes. So I have a few people running a Republic portfolio, but which gets me kind of up at night. Wakes me up in the morning, and kind of from the excitement perspective is investing in innovation, investing in technology, investing in the next generation leaders. So we've invested into over 16 venture funds, including many of the big funds from a Lightspeed, a Sequoia, a Kleiner, and things to that effect, and also some of the emerging managers. So over the last few years, what we've done is we've invested from a strategy perspective more into later stage venture. So Series B and beyond. Mm-hmm. So companies who have revenue, but we were those ones in terms of in the late 1990s when an entrepreneur came two people with an idea, we wrote a check, and then we realized, wait, let's figure this out first in terms of how do we really make money. It's not a charity. We still want to make a return on our investment. So we realized that, hey, let's focus on a little bit more of doubling down and tripling down on the venture funds, and that allows us to co-invest with them on some of their winners. So besides 16 venture funds, I've also invested into 30 direct companies who haven't died yet. At least I haven't got a letter yet that they're dying.
And so, I mean, this is something that takes a lot of skill, a lot of strategy, and one of those strategies is relationship building. And so along came Sidebar Summit, and has really opened up this, this world to you over the years. I mean, you just didn't start. You're second generation.
Absolutely.
And so you've brought in some great leaders, and we have a great leader here today. Chris, man, good to yeah. He's like looking around.
Is my father here?
Chris, great to have you. For our audience, give a quick little intro on who you are, and we're going to get right into the amazing things that you're working on.
Sure, thank you. Chris Pimentel. I am the Mayor Pro Tem of the city of El Segundo, and a big part of our piece in this is that we have a unique moment in time, we think, in El Segundo, where we have a lot of the hard tech innovators starting up, and a big portion of that for us was how do we reinvest in that success? I won't torture the headline a bit, but we wanted to sort of create honestly a Florence of modern manufacturing. How do we get some of the brightest minds with the best ideas in a place and remove the friction points that governments can put in? And to that, we look for help, and that built on a relationship that we had with Vishal. I think we overthought it a bit, and I think that through some of his and the understanding of the Silicon Valley market was like, hey, you guys really are overthinking this. What are the key things that El Segundo does well? What are the things that your innovators are interested in, and how do we reinforce that? And I think that the last 3 years of success have really borne fruit with some of the partnership between Silicon Valley and the South Bay of Los Angeles.
You really got some traction in the area around this. I always like to back things up a little bit. Tell me a little bit about what you love about this industry. I mean, you're making great partnerships, you're getting great traction, you're showing the results in the area. But what gets you up, like Vishal, early in the morning and gets you excited in this ecosystem?
I think emotionally a big part of the story is that you get to see tomorrow being made. And, that's a little bit of a tautologist thing to say, but we really are having people create all of the innovations that make the future happen. We were promised jetpacks as kind of a joke until in El Segundo. I mean, lo and behold, you can get into a jetpack
There's
pretty
jetpacks.
quickly. There are jetpacks,
right?
And pretty soon, by LA 28, maybe we'll fly them. I don't want to overpromise to a degree, but that part of inherent
we were
optimism.
promised jetpacks today. Is that not happening?
It got delayed.
Oh, it's getting pushed back to traffic. Hey, what's going on here, Vishal?
It's like the Cybertruck getting delayed. So.
I love it. So there's things being made.
It's exciting. It's optimistic. It's infectious. And when you are an elected official on the public sector side, I think people are braced to see inefficient and sclerotic government, and they can turn around and suddenly say, "Wait a minute! Like things are happening, and they're happening all around me, and they're improving the quality of life. They're providing a sustainable future for their kids." I mean, that is a really exciting story to be able to tell.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And why we partner together is many reasons, but one of the few reasons is that, and I know a lot of mayors, and both Chris and Drew are just leading the way in terms of inviting businesses to come in. I think you say what is the saying? The most PhDs in 5 square miles, if I may.
We have the highest density of PhDs, absolutely, in greater regional, but California and beyond.
Yeah, and El Segundo is well positioned because if you look at it, there's a lot of venture money just because the innovation which is happening in inefficient markets, defense and aerospace is one of them. And the amount of brain power that's in El Segundo, it's naturally that they will start up new companies in the city because in the amount of brain power that's in the city already.
Yeah. So how does a startup or even a new VC coming down here to build their fund, how do they get plugged into the ecosystem? What insights could you give our audience that are looking? We're up in Silicon Valley, but now we're going to look south. How could they get plugged in if they come down here?
That's an interesting piece. Typically, someone is looking for the funder stream they have for guidance. And what service providers do I use? How do I find a realtor? How do I find space? And we jump into that and sort of ask them, what do you need? Where are you in your process? And if they don't have space, or if they have regulatory questions, I mean, we joke, we had the question of someone asking, how much uranium am I allowed to bring into town? Rather than turn and run, right? El Segundo, you get well, what kind? Like, what's your isotope? Like, riddle me this, and we'll find a solution for you.
I'm hearing this, and I believe you. It's just it doesn't seem like government speak at all, honestly. It seems like the exact opposite of what you generally find when people show up. Government tends to say, wait a second, slow down, hold on, you need permits, you need variances, you need special use permits, and you're saying that you're trying to move in the opposite direction.
We historically have had an ethos of creation in El Segundo, so it's a little bit dyed into the wool. But we have a tremendous staff who really believe that how do we get to yes, barring safety concerns, how do we get to yes is the solution.
That's great.
So it also, to your background and the mayor's background, they have built businesses. They understand the challenges that are there for businesses, just not today, but I like your word, tomorrow building the future today.
And in all your experience, Chris, building your own business, now seeing it from the government perspective, what insight have you learned in terms of contrast of experience that would be fun or insightful for entrepreneurs who are listening up in Silicon Valley to take away?
I would beg them to don't presume the worst of governance. Ask a question and ask it in a way that understands what cities need to do. Cities have to provide for safety. That's why codes and permits are there, right? Make sure you're not doing something that's going to blow up the neighbor's apartment. So if you go in with that and provide them with that reassurance and can describe what you want to do, there are people out there who really, really want to help. And when there's a contact me line, use the contact me line, because invariably it gets to an elected official who'll be like, hey, why are we doing that?
How do we educate entrepreneurs to utilize the government more? I mean, it seems like, no, I'm going to go directly to VCs, I'm going to go to service providers, advisors, and that's it. But where do we kind of open the door and say, hey, look, no, this is a whole new world of resources, and it can accelerate you tremendously with this partnership that similar to what Vishal's work with you?
Because, I mean, the government should want businesses to flourish, right?
Absolutely.
That's a major part of the food chain is healthy businesses employing people and producing widgets and creating the engine for the economy. So, I mean, I think it's a great question, Brian, is my point, is where do people, because I don't think people immediately think, oh, I need help, I'm going to go ask somebody from the government.
It can be tricky to pick your jurisdiction, right? I mean, there are some cities out there that definitely they roll out the red carpet and they have a point of contact in economic development that says, look, we want to provide you with a toolkit to do this. There are big cities that do it. There aren't many. There really aren't. I mean, it's somewhere out there, the Miamis of the world, who really court you. I'd say otherwise, without tooting our own horns, small cities are far nimbler. I mean, it's easier for us to say yes, and we lack the layers of bureaucracy to tell you no.
I love that. And so, Vishal, we're going to kind of pivot now to, we got a whole room of guests today that we're going to cover with your event, and they're going to be coming through here. Chris, how can people connect with you or your department to start asking questions right away?
We have it on very intentionally on our website, basically all elected officials tag, or you can just walk in and ask, and you'll get an answer very, very quickly.
Through the website?
Through elsegundo.org.
Okay.
I mean, go right to it, or there's any number of ways to reach us. Our pictures and our contact emails are right there too, unfortunately. I mean, my picture, really unfortunately. Great face for radio.
I love it, Chris. Well, thank you for stopping in today.
No, thank you.
I look forward to hearing you on the panel today. Well, you're moderating.
Yep.
Yeah, I'll be moderating.
You're leading the charge. All right.
He's going to moderate an amazing panel with 2 unicorns and a partner who opened the office for Lightspeed.
And we're going to try to get them in here
Absolutely.
on the radio.
Do you have? Are you able to rattle those names off right now?
Chris, maybe you can rattle the names off from the Radiance.
So we have Doug Neubauer from Radiant will come in. We've got the entire team from Skyrise, I think, will appear.
Nice.
I think Howard Cass is going to be their first emissary, but I think we'll get CEO and COO on there. Brian at Protivity will be here, and then Faraz at Lightspeed.
So these are big names in the industry. Vishal, you've done well bringing together the best of the best. How can people learn more about Sidebar?
Well, it's very simple, sidebarsummit.com. And we have all information there. And if you become a member, this is a member-driven organization, and we'd love to everyone on who's hearing this is to become a member.
And you will not be disappointed in the content that they put together. Get to know Vishal, get get to know Sidebar Summit, get to know Chris and all the people who come to your event. Vishal, thanks for having us here today, and we look forward to having the speakers come through today. All right.
Nobody loves you more than the audience here at Silicon Valley Impact.
They go crazy for Vishal. I'm going to lose my job. Yeah. Stay tuned for our next guest. All right, Vishal and Chris kicked us off, and we are here with two more guests from the Sidebar Summit. Barbara, I want to welcome you, and Cristina, I want to welcome you. Really quick, Barbara, I'll start with you. Give a little quick introduction about who you are and what brings you here to Sidebar Summit.
So my name is Barbara Voss. I'm the Deputy City Manager for the City of El Segundo. And El Segundo is a small town with a big business, just south of LAX. We are 16,000 residents, 17,000, somewhere in there. But pre-pandemic, we had about 50,000 people coming into work in El Segundo every day. We have a long history of aerospace and defense dating back to World War II. We had manufacturing facilities for aircraft at that time. We had Hughes, now Raytheon, Boeing, Northrop Grumman. So just a big aerospace and defense ecosystem in El Segundo. But then at the same time, we have a lot of different industries represented. And we're here today. We're really excited about all of the startup activity that's happening in El Segundo. And you can tell me when I need to stop.
Yeah, no. Is it following suit? I mean, is startups following suit in that particular market? Or are you seeing other markets pop up with this surge of startups coming through? Because and kind of to play on what Chris was saying earlier, Brian, is that there's a big push to attract startups into the El Segundo area. So talk a little bit about that. Is it the same market or is it a more diverse market?
So it's really a convergence of a lot of things that have happened over the past several years. I've been with the City of El Segundo for 9 years. My background is in economic development. I'm now the Deputy City Manager, so I do other things as well. But coming to El Segundo with the big defense contractors, we found that there was a need, for many years has been a need, for innovative new companies in hard tech, space tech, aerospace and defense to innovate quickly. Mm-hmm. And so the defense contractors were looking for those companies. And I think that's really one of the things that kind of started it all off. And we had, different startups specifically around deep tech, space tech. And then we had the pandemic, of course. During the pandemic, we all kind of slowed down and reassessed. We have a lot of commercial office space in El Segundo. So we were looking at, okay, now our vacancies are rising. People are working remotely. It's a whole different world. Mm-hmm. So how do we continue to attract businesses? And we find that the startup community, especially in tech, hard tech, they need a location. They're not going to be building these things in their living rooms. Like a lot of people can work from home. So we started to really lean into that and try to bring in those types of businesses into El Segundo because it was a natural fit. It was already happening, and we wanted to just do whatever we could as a government to support it.
I love that. And I want to come back to you. I'm going to get Cristina to introduce herself real quick, but I'm going to come back to you about the potential partnerships for startups coming in here. Is there a pathway to these government partnerships? And I'll come back to you on that. But Cristina, welcome to the show. Good to have you here. Thank you for stopping by.
Thank you. My name is Cristina Reveles. I am the Senior Management Analyst for the City of El Segundo, specifically in economic development that Barbara leads. And I've been working now for the city 5 glorious years. And I have to say, El Segundo is by far the most unique city in the region. And I say that because I think about small town, big business. It really is that. Mm-hmm. We have a tagline called El Segundo, where big ideas take off. And that's really a compliment to the entrepreneurs, the big business leaders, the industry leaders of El Segundo. When you think about LA, it really is all El Segundo. The Los Angeles Times are headquartered in El Segundo. Mm-hmm. The LA Air Force Base is in El Segundo. The Lakers, the Kings, and the Chargers. So the only city in America to host the headquarters and training facilities for 3 major sports teams. That's incredible. And then mix that all with the this new influx of DoD money coming in, venture capital investments coming in, all around this thriving cluster of startups, everything from tech through digital media, really across industries. So it makes my job very fun and unique. I'm just really proud to be a part of this ecosystem.
So again, we had talked to a lot of people in Silicon Valley, the ecosystem in Silicon Valley. What are one or two high-level things that you love about the potential partnerships with startups? And if you were kind of just saying, hey, come check us out. We kind of have an open house going on right now with it being LA Tech Week. But really year-round, you're looking to attract talent. What would be your invitation to this particular area?
Was that a question for
That was a question. I'll just kind of just leave it there on the table. Anyone can grab it.
I'll start, and I'm sure Christy can add to whatever I say. But we pride ourselves on being a lower-cost city. There's a lot of barriers to entry in the state of California in terms of cost for doing business. And we do have a lower tax rate. We have access to different types of real estate. So we find that startups tend to want a place where they can maybe have a little office and then have a little spot where they can build stuff and then have maybe a little bit of storage all mixed together in one building. So we try to make sure that we do have that kind of zoning available. And we're looking at our zoning right now to make sure that, maybe the traditional Class A commercial office space isn't what's hot right now, isn't really as desirable. What can we do with our zoning to make sure that we are highest and best use for our real estate, essentially?
So I'm going to kick this back to you, Cristina, in a second, but I wanted to make sure I follow up on the question I kind of gave you a minute ago because it plays nice with this, I believe. But partnership. We would love to see startups have access to these partnerships, especially if they're going to GovTech or anything in that particular space. Is there a pathway in El Segundo for those potential partnerships?
There is. We are exploring different possibilities right now. So there's a lot of different ways to partner. We do sponsor events. We sponsor events like this. We sponsored a hackathon earlier in the year to try to put our support behind things that are bringing more entrepreneurs into the community. We're looking at developing an accelerator in El Segundo, and that would be a partnership with the city of El Segundo, maybe a university partner, and then investors, VCs, other funding sources to collaborate on maybe a makerspace or some type of accelerator to help businesses to grow. We do get calls. I see you.
And you'll get more now. This is going out to Silicon Valley.
Yeah, we do get calls of I don't have $1 million to buy a CNC machine or whatever the big piece of equipment that they need to buy. So we're trying to solve for that. We haven't quite gotten there yet, but we want somewhere where we can say, hey, call this person. They have a space. You can use their machines on a certain day or whatever it is. To collaboratively allow these companies to get to that next step before they really can start to invest in significant levels of equipment.
Let's talk really quick. We only have a few minutes, but really quick about El Segundo's economic strategy for opening the door to startups and taking this path. What are some high-level insights of the strategy for this particular area? You've already given a few, if we can piece it together, but any others that are top of mind for you, either of you could take this, that would be insightful, again, for people coming into this region?
Well, the mayor always highlights this, that 98% of the city's revenues comes directly or indirectly from businesses. So we recognize that having that connection and relationship with businesses, particularly startups, is quite important. We're at a startup event, so I'm saying that. The partnerships that we've built, I think, kind of spotlight our strategy in terms of what can the economic development department do with marketing support. We had a very successful El Segundo Defense Hackathon, and that was really the city also sponsoring that event and recognizing that there are these other partnerships that are happening in the city. How do we tap into that? There was a Discipleless Ventures cohort, another startup event that happened over the weekend, where technology is being created and built within 24 hours, and then these young entrepreneurs are selling that technology to the Ministry of Ukraine, all directly impacting national security. And we recognize that as the economic development team in El Segundo, that we need to provide support. Either that's through sponsorship or having conversations with these entrepreneurs of how can we start an accelerator and explore opportunities for the city of El Segundo to create one, but unique to El Segundo and recognizing our strengths.
So again, appreciate both of you stopping by for a quick chat. How can people get connected with your department and begin the process of kind of getting integrated into the ecosystem? Barbara, I'll start with you.
I just wanted to add to that. really, when we look at economic development, what are businesses looking for? They're looking for space, they're looking for affordability, they're looking for lower taxes, and they're looking for access to talented workforce. We have the Aerospace Corporation in El Segundo that has over 800 technical PhDs alone in that one company. We have Space Base Delta 3 and Space Systems Command at the LA Air Force Base in El Segundo. So, and then all the other companies that I mentioned previously. We have a lot of talent there. So we try to make sure that we foster that and that we help businesses to network with each other, collaborate, and what we can do is land use and taxes and sponsorships. And we're looking at incentives as well. Is there an incentive out there that would be appropriate for startups to help them to choose El Segundo and grow in El Segundo?
I love it, and I think after hearing this, they're going to choose it because a lot of resources, a lot of open doors. Again, Brian, did you have something?
I'm just backing what you're saying, Brian. It just sounds like a very welcoming environment. Not only welcoming, but supportive and innovative and forward-looking.
Yeah, not all cities. I just learned English this morning, so not all
Great.
not all cities.
Don't encourage him.
Not all cities, not all counties are this open and engaging, and I really appreciate you being here and waving the flag. Come check us out. I hope Tech Week goes well for you. And again,
Thank you.
Barbara, thank you. Christina, thank you for being here.
I do want to add one thing because you asked how can they connect with us. I would say LinkedIn, share City of El Segundo. Make sure to follow us there. And then through our Twitter account, X account, Big Ideas El Segundo.
Big Ideas. All right. Well,
Yep.
thank you both for being here.
All right, thank you.
I just want to let you know that the Silicon Valley Impact audience really loves you both, and we really appreciate your time.
Yeah.
I'm just so impressed by everybody here so far. It's been a great day so far, hasn't it, Brian?
Okay, Brian, we're rolling along.
Yeah, we are.
The buzz at the Sidebar Summit is continuing to pick up. We're still here at Tech Week. We're still here in Santa Monica. And again, we have two great guests rolling in here. I want to let you guys, Brian, we have another
Brian.
Yeah,
I love
another
it.
Brian.
There's just not enough of us.
We should have just had all four Brians in here at one time. But Brian, I'll let you go first. Give a little introduction to our audience about who you are and what you do, and we'll get right into it.
Sure. My name is Brian Garrett. I'm one of the co-founders of Crosscut Ventures. Been in business for about 16 years and 23 years as an early stage investor here in Southern California tech.
Nice. Doug, welcome, buddy. Good to see you. You were able to jump in here and chat with us a little bit. So for those who are listening, give a little intro about what you do.
Yeah, I'm Doug Bernauer. I'm CEO and co-founder of Radiant. We're a nuclear company working on mass producing portable nuclear reactors. And I worked at SpaceX for 12 years.
May I dig into that for just a minute? Because you said that when you walked in the room. And can you paint a picture for lay folk as to what that means and put it into scope of size?
Yeah. So picture a very large container you can put on a trailer, but that's a nuclear reactor with all the shielding that you need and the power conversion system. So you can build this in a factory, mass produce it, make a reactor per week that just goes on a trailer, is driven to anywhere in the world, is set down, and then lasts about 5 years on that site. Makes enough power for about 1,000 homes or 2,000 servers, or to desalinate water at about 1.8 million gallons per day, charge about 100 electric vehicles, you name it. Anywhere you want power, and you don't have to add that to the grid. Mm-hmm. You can just move this container there, run it.
That
was such a perfect answer.
Yeah,
that's exactly what I asked for.
Immediately, I get it. Now I got more questions. Give us a little run up on how you got into this space. I mean, this sounds like a big project. If I were to hear the pitch, I'd be like, Doug, that's a big project. Give us a little history on what kind of brought you to this insight of this need, and then a little bit of the journey.
Yeah. I'll tell you about the journey. I think it'd be very cool actually to hear from Brian on some of the customer use case applications.
Yeah.
Because I know he's already thought about this a little bit. So I was at SpaceX for 12 years, and I really just I worked on special projects for Elon. So I worked on the first rocket with legs. It was back in 2011, called Grasshopper. Almost nobody knew about it. We flew it out in the middle of Texas under an experimental rocket permit from the FAA. So it's the Elon project. I'm the electrical engineer, had a structures and propulsion guy, and the GNC person, and the four of us designed that whole vehicle, got it built and running in about 1 year. worked out all these kinks and issues with the instrumentation and the algorithms on board to make precision landing of a rocket with legs possible. And then several years later, we got it to actually work on flight vehicles, and then that's now the normal way rockets are launched. But after I only worked on it for a couple of years, once we got the kinks worked out, I put legs on the flight vehicles, and then I moved to the next thing. And it was always whatever Elon's next thing was. So he wanted to do Hyperloop. I worked on that. We built a 4,200 foot long tube that was the third largest vacuum chamber in the world. Ran pods in there at 350 miles an hour with 1% pressure. So we did that. He wanted to do Boring Company. I designed a machine for that. I did a simulator for that, and I changed a diesel locomotive into an electric vehicle with a bunch of Tesla hardware. That's what I like to do. Look kind of crazy projects off on the edge. And so I worked on Mars and figuring out how you make fuel for a rocket and refuel it on Mars so you can fly it back. And you have to have a nuclear reactor is the answer. And that's how I got into understanding this space.
So Brian, Doug dropped a question in your lap about customer product. How would you answer that question? Or Doug, you can re-ask the question about product and why this is your kind of area of your expertise. What's interesting about it to you, and how it may be insightful for our audience.
Yeah, you can just take
sure.
that.
I mean, our focus at Crosscut is solving humanity's biggest problems, and Doug's taking a giant swing and a massive one right now. So when you think about global supply chains to support diesel generators, or you think about all the original use cases he mentioned where his reactor can slot in and provide solid baseload energy that's carbon free, those are interesting things to us. And he's kind of blown my mind on what's possible here.
Clearly, I feel like there's multiple rabbit holes we could go down on this. And Doug, and then Brian, I'm going to come back to you with a similar question. You're taking on a big project. You've been in this space for a long time. And even as I gear up to ask you this question, I see a little smile on your face. Why do you do what you do? What is your love for this particular space? No pun intended.
Yeah, I like working on the biggest, most challenging problems that have the biggest impact for humanity. The kind of same thing Brian loves and wants to do. And I do it as a electrical engineer, a control systems person, like a guy who worked on rockets and worked for Elon and loved that extremely fast pace, pushing on the very edge of what is possible today. And the most unbelievable thing about nuclear technology is it is sitting on the shelf. We got it working over the course of about 20 years, from about 1942 to about 1962. Kind of everything solved and figured out. We then built up a huge amount of it. It actually became the second largest power source in the country from 1960 to 1970. It scaled massively, right? And it's this huge clean power source. And then for about 50 years, we just have done zero new nuclear designs, although software has progressed in massive leaps and bounds, right? We're in a completely different world. So it's a world where you can take all this existing technology off the shelf, right? The kind of fuel forms are better, and there's moderator. So ours, it's like nuclear fuel, graphite in a steel vessel, but we have advanced software. So we can make the reactor completely autonomous, and make it detect its own faults, which is a thing you do on rockets, right? A rocket flies perfectly and autonomously, does all this separation, and goes and deploys in orbit, or even mates with another spacecraft in orbit, like a super challenging thing that didn't exist in the 50s.
Wow.
Yeah.
Huge project. I'm going to come back to you, Brian. Same question. 16 years in the industry, you've definitely got to be in that long. You've got a track record. What is it about being in this ecosystem that just keeps you coming back? And what is it about it that you love?
Yeah, I mean, I get to wake up every day and meet guys like Doug, so I'm a pretty lucky guy. I get pitched the future consistently. What I think I get up every day now, and when I look at the start of the SoCal tech ecosystem, it was pretty soft. It was D2C e-commerce. I joke, but it's no joke. Our first investment was Kim Kardashian Shoe of the Month Club, pleather shoes from China. The world does not need Kim Kardashian pleather shoes from China. They need Doug's nuclear reactors. And so to see LA and Southern California emerge as this techno manufacturing revolution with more of a mechanical engineering background than just pure CS and software is what gets me most excited today. And so to get up and be able to meet entrepreneurs like Doug and back people that are taking on heavy, hard problems is what keeps this job really interesting for me.
So you've seen an evolution happen over the last 16 years, and you can see LA, El Segundo, Santa Monica becoming a hub for startup in a new way. And what are some of those high-level identifiers that you've seen?
Yeah, so it was ad tech and e-commerce in 2008 to 2012, rise of the enterprise 2012 to 2017. SpaceX changed the landscape, got people at Northrop Grumman and Boeing thinking about not being lifers and getting their pension, but solving big problems like Elon just did.
Yeah.
And now you see startups like Radiant and probably 98 other venture-backed companies that are all the diaspora of SpaceX and Anduril and this really incredible principles first orientation on solving big problems. And so for us, we were a generalist fund because it wasn't that diverse. And now a generalist fund doesn't really stand for anything, right? So we're putting a stake in the ground around frontier tech and deep, hard problems in energy, power, advanced materials, manufacturing, space, under the ocean, you name it. And that DNA is coming out of our university systems, and it's coming out of the startups that have actually paved the groundwork here, most of it off the back of Elon and the numerous companies he's built down here in Southern California.
I love that micro breakdown of an ecosystem mind shift. It's so fascinating. And Doug, if I can find the parallel in you, you're working on these big projects at SpaceX, and then you venture out on your own, and you're taking on this huge project. Now, a lot of our entrepreneurs, they're coming out of corporate, and they've got to shift. How do you kind of work on these future-shifting, innovative ideas on such a large scale, and your own mindset has to really shift? If you could speak again to our audience about how they shift their mind. How are you taking on such a big project? How has it messed with your mind, and at the same time complement your mindset and experience?
Yeah, that's a hard one to answer. I don't think I've been asked that. But I'm an engineer, and I love to solve those super challenging problems that were on the edge for Elon. And one of those that I tried to solve, this refueling a vehicle on Mars, led me to look at nuclear technology. And when I did, I became totally convinced that you actually can't make life multiplanetary without it. And I recognized that we weren't doing it at SpaceX. Would not be reasonable to do it there. And all the other entities I went and looked up and tried to learn about, I didn't find anything exciting there where I thought they could actually break through the mold. I found a lot of companies with just a weird DNA that I thought was not an innovative DNA. And so the mission basically dictated to me that I had to work on this, right? I feel like I left SpaceX to work on SpaceX's mission in a better way, in a more efficient way, and focus more on that future and that long term. And I love big, ugly problems. Like the more you give me, the more my head expands, and I just want it more. I want to consume all that complexity because somewhere in there is something someone hasn't found yet, right? And so I like to think about, I learned electrical engineering, then I learned rockets, and then I learned failure modes and effects analysis and automated control systems and things. And then when I started a company, I learned about lobbying, and I learned about working with investors and customers, and I've just added all those systems, and I love that stuff. That's really fun for me.
I can see you lighting up, around
totally.
that. So how did you get connected, I want to ask this of you, Brian, to the Sidebar Summit, and how important is it to have a good community around you in order to kind of execute on your goals?
I just want to point out before you answer that question, you guys walked into this room and said you didn't know each other. Is that accurate? Or
No,
did you know each other before?
We have met, and I think through Idaho National Laboratory.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
Okay, so you did know each other
Yeah,
before
we
you
do
came
know
in.
each other,
I see.
and I know the company. For us, Sidebar, long time relationship between my partner Rick and Vishal, and we know the two mayors here representing El Segundo, and we're very active in the El Segundo ecosystem, and we want to know all the companies that they're being supportive of, and Doug is one of their poster children.
Yeah, again,
Are
having
you operating now in El Segundo?
Yeah, we are. So we've been there since the beginning. I actually have lived there for 13 years. but I started Radiant in 2020 in El Segundo. We've done several rounds. We have, the Series B about a year and a half ago was Andreessen Horowitz as the lead investor, and they're a big part of this tech week that's happening right now also. But the mayor, Drew Boyles, and Mayor Pro Tem Chris Pimentel are my connection to this Sidebar Summit.
Yeah, so relationships, access has been beneficial to you in order to be a success, and that rings true with anybody who may be looking to do a startup. So for both of you, what is kind of your vision for Santa Monica, El Segundo? Where do you see this ecosystem going and benefiting kind of your project as well? This will be my last question, I swear. So yeah, what's next?
Ideally, these cities just recognize they need reliable power and they buy some nuclear reactors and install them.
I love it. All right, Brian.
I mean, that sounds like a simple answer, and I don't want to get too far down, but I know that there's some residual fear and concern about nuclear power, and the American people aren't necessarily going to just readily embrace that. What are you doing to overcome that? I mean, you must be making strides in that arena as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's going to take a whole lot of this.
Yeah.
Just talking through, and like you said at the very beginning, there's a whole bunch of rabbit holes we could go down.
Sure.
We need to actually do the work to go down all those rabbit holes, but we also need to do that sort of commensurate with our technical progress, right?
Fair.
We need to go and deploy these things, and the way it'll work is you'll see our systems go into very remote locations, or places like military bases, places that don't have really that much of a concern. But what's really exciting is the ability to bring this technology closer to where people need it. And you can do things like add electric vehicle charging stations that go across the whole country and allow you to just do a completely clean charge. And you can go, well, I love my clean energy vehicle, but I'm not sure how
And you
clean
don't
is
have to
that
run
charge.
miles and miles of cable or whatever to get out there.
It can be a piece of land with no water and no power and no comms. Our unit is a source. It doesn't need anything.
Nice.
Great, thanks.
All right, so Brian, last question. What's next?
Yeah, so my mission is not as lofty as Doug's, but Crosscut's been consistent since inception, right? Be the fabric and community building capital of Southern California. And if I can get up every day and connect a couple dots and bring a couple people together to build greatness, to build solutions that solve humanity's biggest problems, to build companies of scale that matter and are important. Yeah. That's my reason for getting out of bed every day. So I'm thrilled to continue to do this.
That's great to have investors like you who are really well connected and have your head up and can talk to that history of the shifts that have been happening, because my head has been down. I've been working on all these Elon projects, right? So there's a very big beneficial kind of relationship when I go and network with folks.
That's an interesting concept. I've never heard that before. That's actually really, so you're head down in a silo, become an expert. I mean, just extremely experienced in a particular area. But you have someone like Brian who comes along and is almost like outside the well looking in and saying, this is what we need to do. I love that.
Yeah, I can see and I know
it's a great
most
compliment.
people across Southern California and LA tech, but I also know the investors in Silicon Valley that might fund the next round.
Yeah.
And so bringing all of that together and sitting with the macro view while Doug has his head in the sand thinking about how to solve his nuclear reactor design is an important combination of capital and entrepreneurship. And then you bring the service providers around, and it does take a village.
And you added the service providers to that. Again, it really takes a village to raise up a startup, and I love the perspective, because you wouldn't have the innovative ideas if you didn't have those people just drilling down deep, and then having people like you, Brian, come along who can connect the dots and
Pollinators.
Yeah.
I mean, essentially, right? I mean, it's an ecosystem, and there's pollinators moving things around, moving information, moving relationships. I mean, Vishal walked in here and brought you both to us, and he's a great connector. I mean, he's a great pollinator.
Yeah. Like even though that it was like the deer in the headlights. What are you throwing us into?
Oh, he's coming back.
He's got more.
Somebody else.
Yeah.
So that's your exit music.
All right, Brian, Doug, I want to thank you so much for joining us today. You've been awesome. I appreciate you. Both great sports. Thank you.
This has been great. Thank you.
All right, so we're rolling right along. We've got Mayor Drew with us. Mayor, thanks for joining us. How did you get connected with the Sidebar?
Yeah, my pleasure. Thanks for having me.
Well, can we back that up just a little bit?
What
You
I do?
introduced
I
him
want-
as Mayor Drew. I just want to say Drew Boyles,
Yeah, Drew
and
Boyles,
Mayor
yeah.
of El Segundo.
Yes.
Okay, I maybe that's something everybody knows.
Personal, like we were already best friends, and I blew it?
Yeah, I think you kind of maybe just left the listeners a little bit behind on that one, but we're fine. We're good now. I brought you everybody up to speed.
See, that's my fault because we have that pregame talk and we get too loose, and I appreciate.
And you already know
bringing
all
me-
the answers, and now you're just basically kind of just phoning it in for the listeners.
I know. All right.
Yeah.
All right.
We're bringing our A game this time, Mayor Drew.
Wait, are we still
We're doing a
recording
reset.
right here? No, okay, we're not. All right.
All right. Sorry. Go ahead. So, give us a little bit about what your role here is. I mean, we're not just bringing in here the salesman down the street. This is Mayor Drew.
Mayor Drew.
Yes, thank you. I mean, I like to say mayor of the most important 5 square miles economically in Southern California.
Wow,
actually.
dude. That's impressive.
I mean, I think we spent a lot of time educating people about the city of El Segundo. The reality is we've kind of been the best kept secret for years, but GPS was invented here. During the World War II, El Segundo was prime for rolling out aircraft to actually help fight that war. We've had a presence in defense and aerospace and space for many, many years. SpaceX started in El Segundo. And so now people are starting to realize, hey, if I'm working on, maybe I've left SpaceX, I had a liquidity event, what am I working on next? Maybe it's in space, maybe it's not in space. El Segundo is one of the best places to do that. So we've just been spending a lot of time telling that story for people that El Segundo is the hotbed of innovation. And if you look at density of talent, be it PhDs, engineers, fabricators, if you look at venture funding per square mile, startups per square mile, we're crushing everyone else. It's an incredible place, and it's an economic powerhouse that I think a lot of people have taken for granted.
So why have you personally taken this on yourself? I mean, you're clearly passionate about this. There's a lot of history here. There's a lot of potential. What really gets into your soul about this?
I'm an entrepreneur myself, so I've been part of a group called Entrepreneurs Organization for 17 years now. I used to be the president of the LA chapter. I know what it's like to start businesses. I've had my fair share of failures, so that really gets my juices flowing is entrepreneurship and business. And going back, before I was even on council in 2014, I was asked to be the chairperson of the Economic Development Advisory Council for El Segundo. So I started working on that, shaping the identity of our city. That's actually when we first started going to Silicon Valley, was back in 2014, 2015, and starting to tell the story about, hey, you have a portfolio company you want to invest in, or you want to open a satellite office, you need to be in El Segundo, not the West Side, not Silicon Beach, El Segundo specifically, and here's why. And now, 10 years later, it's happening. So we have our first venture fund, which is Interlagos Capital, 2 former SpaceX employees who had been very successful, started a fund that's targeting $550 million for their first fund, and it's based right in El Segundo, a stone's throw away from where SpaceX actually started on Grand Avenue. So we're starting to see now the fruits of our labor after all these years.
So speaking directly to the startup community in Silicon Valley and the world, I mean, is El Segundo focused on this particular market of space, or is it come one, come all, where you're rolling it out to more of an agnostic?
I would say that our strong, so we've had consumer products. Liquid IV started with us, Beyond Meat started in El Segundo. We've had those Quest Nutrition, those big IPO type companies that were born in El Segundo. Mattel is based there, internet brands. But what's happening now is this conversion of capital intensive, really significant problems that are going to change the globe with really smart entrepreneurs coming into this small enclave called Smoky Hollow in El Segundo, which is a light industrial zoned area. And they're solving really big problems like robotic fish killing technology to improve the flesh and the quality of the fish and extend the shelf life in El Segundo. Rainmaking technology in El Segundo. Waste to energy, nuclear reactors. Actually, Doug, who's speaking here today, lives in El Segundo. Former SpaceX are working on portable nuclear power. So many different ideas that are now happening. So I think where we differentiate is that we have this industrial base. We've always had it. Chevron, formerly Standard Oil, built the town 1911. We still have a refinery there. Then we were a production line for aerospace and space, GPS, satellites for many, many years. So we've always had this industrial base. So now you're seeing a convergence of all these young entrepreneurs that are getting access to capital. You have companies like A16 and others jumping into Frontier Tech, American Dynamism, who's got the biggest American flag in their warehouse. It's so amazing to see this pride. and working on these problems, and a lot of it's just happening right there in El Segundo, again, where you've got really bright people that are used to making things, not less software, although software is part of it, of course, but more focused on the hardware side of things.
So a reoccurring theme of people who are out there right now listening to the panel and the people who have been in this room talking about El Segundo are really twofold. One, the unique ecosystem and relationship capacity of this particular area, and two, when that happens effectively, access. So again, with startups listening in on this, VCs, any type of individual who wants to bring capital in this area, what kind of insight can you provide them when it comes to those two values, which we see is very popular but oftentimes overlooked, relationship and access?
Yeah, I would say that, I'll just tell a quick story. So one of the papers, I can't remember which publication, it wasn't really a paper, but the Information or something, was in town doing a segment on El Segundo, and Scott Nolan of Founders Fund and SpaceX happened to be in town. And then you run into John Coogan down the street. So because there is such density of these companies working within, say, like 6 square blocks, you're just bouncing around and running into people working on really incredible problems. Founders, investors, investors now becoming operators and founders themselves, and vice versa, all in this small area, run into each other at the coffee shop or the Boardroom Brewery or the Purple Orchid, a tiki bar, whatever. But it's happening somewhat organically, and there's some structured meetings as well. And I've had people literally get in their cars. A guy, Henry Kwan, started a company called One Kappa. They're building stratospheric solar-powered drones. And the founder of Twitch is one of his investors. And Henry literally said, listen, I've been following everything that's happening in El Segundo on X. I'm literally getting in my Bronco from New York and I'm driving across the country. Can I have a meet with you? I'm like, absolutely, let's get a coffee. And I just went to his office last week. Investors were there as principal investors. It was a photo shoot, and he's doing incredibly well. So we've got this nucleus going, this critical mass now where people want to be part of it.
Yeah. And so how do you, as mayor of this amazing accelerated ecosystem, how do you really fan the flames of this community? Obviously you've got the partnership with Sidebar Summit. Yeah. How did you make that connection? And then how do you design that moving forward? It's very intentional on your part.
Yeah. Vishal came by Mayor Pro Tem Pimentel, who's actually speaking on a panel, great guy, smart veteran like myself, military. He came to us with an idea. We were talking about who to partner with to get access to Silicon Valley, to family office, LPs, et cetera. And the idea was, let's talk to someone like a Vishal. Vishal was already getting some significant momentum going in the Silicon Valley. So we started by going up there, sponsoring events, and that's been incredible for us. So we can facilitate meetings like this. We can be storytellers, continuing to tell the story about how El Segundo is an incredible place to do business. We're very nimble. We're very responsive. Business is the lifeblood of our city. 98% of our revenue comes from business, not residence property taxes, which is, we're an outlier in LA County of the 88 cities. So we work really hard to make sure the business community thrives, because that's how we pay for independent police, fire, and everything else. So we want to be that facilitator. We want to be the storyteller, and then we're looking at incentives as well. How can we keep companies in El Segundo as they grow beyond the first round? Like now they need 20,000 square feet or 50,000. How can we accommodate them, keep them from going to Long Beach or Hawthorne or Torrance or these other cities in the South Bay?
Yeah, so let's double click on that just from a high level of incentivizing startups and investors coming to this particular area. What are some insights in that particular space so that, there's a ton of stories that you could probably tell in terms of the excitement, but incentivizing it. We were talking about earlier, I believe it was with Cristina, about the tax benefits about being here, just phenomenal. What are some other incentives that would bring some of these startups here?
We're exploring those. One would be you start here and then you need to move or grow, phase 2, phase 3, whatever that is. Supplemental rounds of funding. How can we help maybe offset some taxes for you in the future if you stay in El Segundo? So that's one thing that we're considering. Really where we differentiate, though, is just the ease to get things done. Like we don't have a gross receipts tax, which Cristina probably talked about. That's a huge impediment for a lot of cities. We're a simple function of square footage and head count. Very simple to understand, very reasonable. We tend to be less expensive when you think about rent and all-in occupancy costs versus Santa Monica, certainly Venice, West Side, Century City. And then how can we help companies? Like we had this young entrepreneur Soren, who has a drone company. He's basically building drones with munitions, sending them to Ukraine. And he, on a Friday afternoon, he said, Drew, I got the best spot ever. Problem is it's not zoned industrial. I said, hold on, give me a couple hours. Literally called the director of planning, Michael Allen. Michael said, all right, let me talk to him, and coached him through the application process so that he could actually manufacture drones in an R&D type capacity, and which was critical for him. And then he signed the lease that afternoon. That would never happen in some of the other cities. In most, if not all the cities in LA County, I can confidently say that would not happen.
Any county, not only LA County.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah. So, again, another individual, we could just go down the rabbit hole of insights.
Yeah.
Before we let you go, Mayor Drew,
I got a quick
and you had a
question.
question.
I
but
have a question.
When he's done, though, I'm going to ask you, what is that one more story that would really attract outside talent? Because I know talent, what's the word? I'll let you ask it, but I want to ask about finding the right talent to come here.
You had said that you want companies to be able to grow in El Segundo, and I understand that. And if they need to expand physically into bigger spaces, you want to be able to help facilitate that. But I know in California, space is pretty, it's at a premium.
Yeah.
Do you guys? I'm not that familiar with El Segundo, but do you have space to expand? Or
We don't have a ton of space. That is an issue for us. So we're exploring. We're turning over every rock. There's some vacant land, for example, at the end of LAX that's not being used right now. Could we do something with that? That would be a very long haul to get something like that done. But also Chevron, you have a ton of land on your refinery. Are you open to allowing entrepreneurs? Which, by the way, I took 25 entrepreneurs, young entrepreneurs through Chevron, and their minds are blown. They love the technicality of it and all that. The other thing is educating the brokers and the developers about what's coming. Hey, commercial office, we're at 25% vacancy. Historically, we've been at 12%. Let's reimagine some of that land into flex space, industrial, mixed use, that kind of thing. So we're educating the developers and the brokers. They're getting it. They understand how important this is. Even if one company maybe doesn't check the box in terms of maximum taxable revenue, the multiplier effect is huge because it just adds more employees and more services, and that'll supplement.
And more synergy.
LA Air Force Base, which is huge for us, which is based in El Segundo.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
Yeah.
So talk a little bit. This was what I was trying to spit out earlier.
Yeah.
Talk a little bit. Silicon Valley has huge talent. It's everywhere. And when companies are coming into El Segundo, they're going to be worried, okay, can I bring talent with me? You do have a pipeline of talent here. Speak a little bit to that, to kind of plant the seeds in potential audience members who have a startup that may want to come here.
I would argue, well, I'll get to that in a second, but you asked, so Will Brewery, founder of Varda Space, they're doing pharmaceuticals, R&D in space, incredible concept, right in El Segundo. And when I asked Will, I had him on a panel to educate people about what he was doing. I said, hey, why did you pick El Segundo? Because he was on the East Coast. And he said it was simple. I built an algorithm to scrape LinkedIn and look for the highest density of highly trained, educated employees, engineers, et cetera. It was Silicon Valley as a region or El Segundo as a city. Not Silicon Valley and LA. It was Silicon Valley or El Segundo. So that was the reason that he chose to locate his company, Varda, in El Segundo. And that I would argue we have more highly trained employees than any other area of LA by far per square mile. We also have the highest average salary of all 88 cities in LA County. We have the highest average salary of the workforce there by far. By far, like 30% more significant than Beverly Hills, which would be second highest employee base.
I love it. So again, I had to ask that. I get the feeling that this place is just enriched with a lot of resources and great people. What is one? This is what I'm going to ask you. One more story that would endear people towards this location who didn't hear about it before. This is my first time. I've been in and out of LA several times, but never parked in El Segundo. What is a story that's top of mind for you that would endear people in the startup ecosystem to check it out?
Yeah, I think the best example is one I've already referred to, but to me it's so telling. Henry Kwan is this brilliant young engineer who had a really cool idea that was unique. It was definitely, I don't think anyone was doing it at the time, these stratospheric drones. And he was so, I'll say, smitten with what was happening in El Segundo, following all the energy and the momentum and the talent pool that was moving here, that he literally got in his Bronco and drove across the country, and without an office, without friends here, he basically reached out to a couple people, Cameron and Augustus, young entrepreneurs who were really vocal on X in this community, and drove across the country in his Bronco. I mean, if that's not taking a leap as an entrepreneur, I don't know what is. That's huge. And so I checked with him. I was with him early last week with his founders, and they loved the decision they made. They're like, all right, you're in 1,500 square feet now. By the way, he took over the space that Soren had, who was making the drones with the munitions. So it's so cool because these companies are coming in, they're like, oh man, Nero's just killed it. They just got another big round. Now they're moving to 50,000 square feet. I'm in 1,500. What does my future look like? And then it's just like step and repeat. So now we're seeing the entrepreneur community working together and saying, and because real estate's one of the hardest parts. You got to have the space. You got to have it quickly available because there's opportunity cost if you can't start to make something. So they're all working together now as a community in this really tight knit area.
All right. Brian, I think I violated every time frame.
That's okay.
As well as
it's an important guy.
And started the conversation before we started recording, all that.
Yeah.
Mayor Drew, I want to thank you for joining us today.
Thank you.
Appreciate and love what you guys are doing here. Again, for those of you listening in Silicon Valley and around the world, amazing things are happening here in El Segundo, here at the Sidebar Summit. LA Tech Week. Lot going on again.
I mean, it's all coming together. It's like the trifecta.
Yeah, my mind's blown. Again,
Yeah, indeed.
Mayor Drew, thank you so much.
Thank you, Brian and Brian. You guys are great. You made it so easy.
Let's do. All right, we got Faraz and Alim. Alim, I'll let you go first. Tell our audience a little bit about yourself, who you are, and a little bit about yourself.
Sure. My name is Alim Moore. I currently work with the outstanding, awesome San Francisco Giants.
Yes, say it louder for those in the back.
San Francisco Giants. Nothing like it. I am a senior manager, business development for the Giants. My primary role there is to bring in tech firms, VCs, PEs, family office folk into the Oracle space and get them to engage with us and have the kind of experience that all of our fans are having, which is fantastic.
I love it. I love what you're doing. You're focusing on that. You're actually one of the few organizations, I believe, that are doing this. But what brings you to LA Tech Week? What is it about this particular ecosystem, the relationships? I know you have a deep relationship with Sidebar Summit, and you're looking to kind of expand those relationships down here in El Segundo. What has your experience been with expanding your relationship down in this particular area?
Well, specifically, I mean, this is where the beautiful people are. And these are the kind of people that I want to be able to engage with. People do spend time here and, of course, in the Bay Area. And so we want to continue to encourage people to make that trek, up north, to come and visit us. In the interest of full disclosure, I am a member of the Sidebar Summit. Vishal and I are extremely close, and I'm here to support him and the entire team.
And this rings true with the San Francisco Giants. I think what Vishal's doing with putting relationship first is kind of the red thread that runs through everybody here. It's a really, I mean, you have brilliant people here, can make a lot of money, do a lot of good in the ecosystem, but they love the relationship. Faraz, introduce yourself. You're with Lightspeed.
I am.
Give a little intro of yourself to our audience and what it is that you do.
Yeah, happy to. Faraz Fatemi, I'm a partner on the early stage investing team at Lightspeed. Joined the firm almost 3 years ago now as our first LA-based investing partner, focused on all things consumer, AI, early stage. Big fan of the LA technology ecosystem. I'm actually Bay Area born and raised, so I grew up a Giants fan. I'm in enemy territory down here, but
aren't we all?
You're in a safe space right now. I think we're all Giants fans here.
Go Giants. But yeah, everything else about LA is fantastic.
Yeah.
I've gotten to know Vishal and the team quite well. Vishal obviously has affiliation with Lightspeed and has been a supporter of our firm for a long time. And it's been great seeing the work he's done in the Sidebar Summit and bringing together such a great, talented group of operators and individuals that are really just pushing forward innovation for the local ecosystem.
I'm going to tee you up for an easy one right
Please.
here. Tell me, because Lightspeed has created a great name in the ecosystem. I mean, you go anywhere in the U.S., if not the world, people know who Lightspeed is. What do you love about the ecosystem and the game of startup?
Great question. I mean, look, I think about specifically LA ecosystem.
No, just in general.
Broadly.
Broadly.
Oh man. I mean, I think the most fun part of this job is getting to spend time with, early stage builders who are so passionate about what they're building. And, I think the beauty of a startup, and I've spent time in my career in later stage investing, and I think the beauty of startup investing is you get to actually be a more meaningful part of that journey and helping to, see a vision, see a dream, and sort of help, set the building blocks against that dream. And so, whether it be consumer side, which I spend my time in, or enterprise or fintech or really any sector, really what you're investing in at the early stages is a really compelling team and a compelling market they're going after. And it's fun.
So I know we're short on time, and then Alim, I got a great question for you in terms of building an ecosystem. But how do startups get on your radar?
Great question. I mean, I think the part of my job is actually to find startups, and if I'm not seeing them, it's more on me than on them. But I would say, the best way to do it is by being, affiliated with great organizations such as Sidebar and the individuals in it, and getting, connected through them to me. And I think, that's the easiest way for me to sort of filter where I'm able to spend my time. And any warm introduction from anybody on the team here carries a lot of weight. So.
Love it. So, Alim, I'm going to pivot a little bit more, but I'm going to focus still on the ecosystem. You've created a great ecosystem with San Francisco Giants. You've been a part of that. You have now this kind of the sub-ecosystem of startups and VCs and family offices. What is kind of your formula for success in bringing good people together in your role with the Giants?
Great question. And you literally answered the question with your question.
Did I? Okay,
it was rhetorical indeed. Our goal is to bring in the kinds of people that Faraz was mentioning to the ballpark. We want people to engage with us, specifically people of that ilk. That is our goal, to expand our fan base, to get those kinds of people engaged in some of our premium spaces, like our Cloud Club, like our Gotham Club, like our Dugout Club. We're making some real interesting capital improvements to the ballpark. We're really excited about Buster Posey and some of the new changes that have been made. So we have an upward trajectory, and we want to get all the right people into the ballpark and engaging with us. Obviously, everybody's here has heard of the idea of ROI, right? So return on investment in an environment like that is happening. A lot of the VCs, the PEs, and startups are engaging with us, and we're really excited about that. So I think the opportunity to expand that network with people like this and this august body with all these intelligent people is exactly what we're trying to get done.
Yeah, a lot of things that we've heard so far today with our other guests is the importance of accessibility, and it seems like you both have created a culture of accessibility, whether it be to Lightspeed or the San Francisco Giants, having these open houses, inviting others in, creating an experience for people to build those relationships. You've both done it so well. I want to thank you for being here. I can't wait to talk to you more. Vishal, out of the corner of my eye, is giving me signs to wind it up. But again, I want to thank you both for being here. How can people within this space connect with you, whether it be to learn more about being a part of the ecosystem that you're creating with the Giants, or being part of Lightspeed? Faraz, I'll start with you.
Yeah, I mean, very much an open door. Reach out directly, email, LinkedIn, faraz@lsvp.com. Okay. Yeah, we'd be happy to chat.
Nice.
And the same with me. I am Alim A. Moore II on LinkedIn. You can reach me at my email address, amore@sanfranciscogiants.com. And also, if you want to give me a call, I can be reached at area code 415-966-7989. Would love to have you out at the park and engaging with us. It's going to be fun.
He's putting himself out to old school style.
He's ready to get the phone calls. I think that's the first time we've had a phone number announced on the show.
There we go.
You guys are great.
I love it.
Thanks for coming in. Appreciate you two being here.
Thank you, guys.
It's a pleasure. Thanks.
All right, we're here with our next guest, and I hope Brian. I hope I'm not sounding like a broken record, but we have another Brian.
Yeah, man, it's Brian, and Brian.
Yeah,
and David, who I told him just a minute ago that he's no longer David, he's now Brian for the next few minutes.
Crashing the party.
Yeah,
sounds like a band.
The Disruptor. Yeah. Okay, the Disruptor. But again, we're here. We are at the Sidebar Summit. It is LA Tech Week. Brian and Dave, thanks for being here real quick, but give us a little summary, and Brian, we'll start with you about what you do and kind of your connection with the Sidebar.
Yeah, no, thank you. It's great to be here in LA. I work for a consulting company, and we work with companies around the globe, and particularly this week it's all about LA and the great things that are happening here. But what we do is we're part of the ecosystem, that the ideation, innovation, when the deal comes together, there's many people to make that happen. You know, it could be the financing, it could be our side to really help put in the process, the technology, the governance to really help monetize and take those companies forward. So we're part of that scene really in the back to help make it happen.
And there's a lot of moving parts in startup, and you figure out where those connections need to be made so they can go forward in a healthy direction.
That's absolutely correct. You know, we bring the experience in. You know, there's many partners in the ecosystem. It could be the ERP systems, CRMs, the finance people, it could be legal. All those people really work as a team to make it happen. And, you know, my experience, I've spent a lot of time in LA in my career. A lot of great things are happening, and to come here and be a participant in this, it's really a lot of energy in the room, exciting to look forward to the future. And, you know, it's just great.
Give us your company's name real quick.
So I was one of the founders of Protivity. Mm-hmm. We're a global consulting firm with 13,000 people in 38 countries. And I get to fly around the globe, and I always love when I can come back to LA.
Congratulations on your success, man.
Thank you.
Thanks for being here. Dave, a little bit about you. Thanks for being here.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, tell our guests in Silicon Valley and the world over a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, sounds good. So I get to run the innovation banking group at HSBC. And, you know, the real reality is that, you know, founders all need to deal with banks, and we want founders to spend as little time dealing with their banking as possible. And so our simple thesis when we kind of started this about a year and a half ago was, what if you could take the scale and stability and breadth of one of the largest banks on the planet, or I think HSBC is the 7th or 8th largest balance sheet on the planet. But what if you could do that and then mirror all of the products, services, solutions, sector knowledge that really helps founders, not just with their banking, but actually increases their probability of success. And so that's what we've been building, and started with a little over 40 people a year and a half ago, and now we're north of 120 people in the U.S. and about 800 people globally. So it's been
nice. And you're in the Bay Area.
I am, yeah.
No, okay. Brian,
I didn't understand. You started with 40 people in what capacity?
So we had 40 people that we brought over to really help HSBC start with working with early stage tech and life sciences companies. So from seed, you know, Series A all the way through, and even cash burning public companies.
Okay, and you've grown that threefold or something since then. And is that across the nation or in a particular region?
Across the nation, and actually LA being our most recent landing ground. So what we saw in LA is that, you know, there's a real community where the local innovation ecosystem doesn't want to be supported from New York or the Bay Area. They want people who are really on the ground and invested and getting their hands dirty, not just with what they're building, but actually helping the entire ecosystem. And so we brought a great team together down here, and, you know, we're really excited about building this part of the market.
So we've had some of the leadership in here from El Segundo, and they're really pushing to open the door to having companies come down here. And you're seeing that with boots on the ground, your own investments. You're seeing that that's happening, and that's a real thing.
100%. I mean, everyone talks about kind of the huge correction that's happening, you know, in the VC ecosystem, which is truly the case. LA is actually on track to actually set records in terms of VC dollars deployed. So it's totally bucking the trend of what we're seeing in other markets. And I think it's not just one thing, right? You have El Segundo and the hard science, space tech that they're working on, but you also have these, you know, creator platforms, fintech, e-com, enterprise software. I mean, it's a really diverse ecosystem down here.
And I see, Brian, I see you shaking your head. You're in agreement. You're seeing similar effects.
Absolutely. You know, I got the blessing to fly around the world and work with a lot of companies, but I'm seeing what's happening here in El Segundo and across the LA area. It's an attractor, right? You're bringing in bright minds across a variety of thought and industries and ideation of where we can go. And I think that's the part that starts building a nucleus. And I always like to put it in the concept of what I do, and probably on the finance side as well. We like to make our clients the hero, right? And when you can do that and be a participant in seeing that from the ideation and taking it through all the way. It's a fantastic thing, and there's so many bright minds, and this region is attracting people. Contrary to what the world may think, what's happening in California, we are at a center of what right now I think is a bit of a revolution here, right? And so I get to participate and see things around the world, but people are saying, hey, what's going on in El Segundo? And so see our politicians here working to make that happen. It is defying what people are outside this community talking about.
Yeah, it's no mystery that you're doing really well with your company and growing as fast as you are. When you were saying, when you were talking about the customer, the client, you lit up. Who is your who is your customer? Who is your client? And who is coming to El Segundo?
Well, when people come here, it really is a variety of people in the ecosystem, right? So a lot of it is the people that are generating the ideas, the thought leadership that's really taking something and taking it to market. And so it could be in fintech, it could be in the hard science, and could be other things that are taking place, right? Mm-hmm. This area also had a great reputation for media and entertainment, right? We've exploded beyond that into these other areas. And when you can attract people from around the world, we've got world-class institutions here, but people grow up in this area. We like it here, right? Mm-hmm. They leave, they come back, and they bring those ideas, and it attracts others, and that starts to get an acceleration that takes it there. My job is really with our teams, like a lot of the people in the ecosystem, to then work with those people. What do you need to do? We've got the experience to walk them through, have you thought about this? What about that? And that's also where you get the ideas from everyone that's at this conference and what you're seeing. We were talking in the elevator coming up, there's like 1,100 events or some crazy thing like that. And when you get to meet people, you get excited and you get to learn from them and take that and use what works for you to go forward. And I'm
going to ask you this same question, David, next, but Brian, I'll let you take a swing at it. How long have you been involved with this Sidebar Summit? How has it been beneficial to you? And are these relationship center events really an advantage for those who are looking to connect quickly to the government or even the ecosystem?
I have been in this business a long time, and I think it's all about the relationship, and that's the critical part. An event like this and some of the people we're interacting with and being privileged to be invited as a panelist to talk about those experiences. Sometimes they may say, well, you got a lot of gray hair, Brian. We don't want to talk about that.
At least you have hair.
Touche. But that's what you really want. You want people that can help surround you and give you ideas to entertain. What about this and what about that and what's best for them to go forward? And that's what I kind of go back to, of really making them the hero. And I've got stories where I've seen over time, working in the background, like, Brian, maybe you want to come join us, and you kind of do your thing. And then 10 years later, you're like, yeah, I should have probably done that.
Yeah. I'm going to come back to you in a second, ask you about the panel, and you can give us a quick overview to kind of tease those who aren't here. But David, coming to you real quick, same question around relationships and attracting people. What's the draw? What's the big draw?
Yeah. I think it's the most fun part of what I get to do is just convene people, and it can be bringing the largest company in the world. We work with Amazon, Google, Microsoft, et cetera. But then taking the early stage innovator and disruptor that ultimately is going to either be invested in, partner with, or get acquired by those large companies. And so kind of what Brian was saying, one of our three Brians, that ecosystem connectivity and frankly the serendipity that comes with that, you have no idea who you're going to meet or the idea that's going to percolate from a conversation. And innovation is never linear, right? If it was, we'd all be successful entrepreneurs. And it's hard, and it takes luck, and it takes a big network and a lot of support.
And you can hear the energy picking up out there.
There's people rolling in. David, I'm curious, what was your background? How long have you been doing this, and what was your background?
It's funny, I was thinking about that. I'm not as young as I am mentally. So I've been at this for about 15 years. I spent 10 years at Silicon Valley Bank, and then kind of following the banking crisis of March of last year, we really said, hey, what if you could bring large global stable together with, founder-friendly, speed of solutions, and just, really kind of bring small and specialized combined with global and stable.
Yeah.
And that's what we've been building.
No, it sounds like you have that kind of background, and then in combination with the banking that you have, like you said, stable banking, large banking, it's a great marriage.
Yeah, it is. And one of the things I didn't appreciate is the fact that founders today are not building their business to be successful just in LA or just in California or just in the US. People have global ideas, global ambitions, global partnerships. And so having that kind of global infrastructure and being able to tap into that, I vastly underestimated, how important that would be, but it's a huge part of our story.
I love it. Brian, last question. You're on the panel today. What is kind of, from a high level, what you'll be talking about?
Well, I'll be talking about the support to really, what David was bringing into the equation here of how to help organizations go forward, right? I started my career as an accountant, not very sexy, not really, what everyone wants to aspire to in this day and age. But I quickly learned in that career, when you can give good advice and be that trusted advisor, that is a very fulfilling role. And what I'll be talking about is that role to help be that person. And, I think we've got so many great people here to talk about what they're doing, get that relationship. And those really matter in the long run. And, people like David and myself, we're just privileged to be part of the process and understand that ecosystem. And it's highly rewarding to see those success stories and what's happening here. And I just got back from India a couple weeks ago. You see things there. I do work in Brazil. But the creative juices where we're at today, it's really infectious. And so that's the big part. I'm the guy there that's going to make everyone the hero. But I want to hear those ideas myself and really work those relationships.
I love it. Well, that's, I guess, the other side of the sword with these short interviews, that I feel like that trusted advisor role, that trusted advisor topic is our rabbit hole, and we all could go down that. But again, those of you who aren't here, there's some great people here that are worthy of high levels of trust. Brian, we've seen it very quickly. We've seen it with Vishal.
Right, and just focused on connectivity and relationships. I mean, it's just very cool to hear people talking like that.
Yeah, I want to thank David, you being here. Brian, thank you for being here, and I look forward to hearing more. All
right, thank you, Brian.
Thanks guys.
Brian, we're rolling right along. We got Louis Lao. How'd I do?
That was great, Brian.
That was good. All right, so Louis, we've got millions and millions of fans listening to our show, and when I say millions and millions of fans, I really mean my mom. She's the only one who listens to the show.
And even she doesn't listen that often.
Yeah, so tell our audience a little bit about who you are and what you do.
Awesome. So I am the fruit of immigrants coming to the Silicon Valley 50 years ago. And I was an accident. And my father built technology companies, and he always screwed them up. He never stuck around for the stock options to hit. And he made 2 lawyers for sons. So I'm one of them, and I help startups get formed, financed, scaled for growth, bought, and hopefully sold. And I have so much fun doing it. So every part of the growth of a startup I'm intimately involved in. And one of the reasons that we put events like this here tonight at the Sidebar Summit together is so that entrepreneurs can meet other entrepreneurs, investors, thought leaders, government leaders, and so that they can have intimate conversations that accelerate their thinking and their growth.
You sound like you get people. I mean, we run into people all the time that they're brilliant, don't get me wrong. They're advancing innovation, technology, but you sound like you get the people part of it. And you're involved with Sidebar Summit and building relationship. Has that been kind of a people first, relationships first mantra for you guys?
Well, I'm a lawyer, so it's hard for me to decide when I meet an entrepreneur if the technology that they have is going to disrupt the world. So I can't really judge that. So I have to go with relationships. So if I'm introduced to a founder by another founder that I've worked with, or by an investor, then I know, okay, I can spend time on this person because there's at least some point of connectivity. And that's why events like Sidebar Summit are so helpful, is we're all seeking to meet other people that are vetted by people we know, so that the level of trust can be increased, and so that we can suspend our disbelief and go all in.
So other than events, what are some ways, I'm going to go in the weeds with this one, but it's also where my rabbit hole is. But before I get to that, Are you based in El Segundo, Santa Monica area, Southern California? Are you from up north?
I am from up north, but I come down here at least twice a month.
And so what's happening down here? There sounds like, it feels like something's going on. And I know you probably work with startups all over the U.S., all over California, if not all over the world. But what's happening here in El Segundo, Santa Monica?
Sure. Well, I started feeling it about 10 years ago when the Snap folks started to peel out and build new companies in and around Venice Beach. And there had always been, what I'll say, consumer tech companies, people like Shoe Dazzle, people like RealD, but there hadn't been, like a pure tech company that had built a social network down here. Mm-hmm. And it just peeled off and built a whole community around it. And I've been spending more time here ever since.
So you have multiple communities. How do you see young startups accelerating trust with their idea? I mean, if you're going into a new community, you're building relationships. You're going into another country, if you're going into another state, you're building community, you're building trust. How have you been able to do it over the years to build the firm that you have, and then share that wisdom with early stage startups?
Well, it's having been through many startup adventures that you build a network of other people that know how to help them, that know how to grow them. You've lived through their customer experiences, the happy and the sad ones. You've lived through their vendor relationships, the happy and the sad ones, mm-hmm. and you've lived through the financing escapades and the exits. And doing this over and over and over again, you see a pattern of issues that pop up, and you come up with an approach which defines your style, and people are going to like it or they're not going to like it. Mm-hmm. I can't be all things to all people. I can only be my authentic self. And I feel like if I bring that and somebody responds to that positively, then I'm going to respond positively, and we're going to both invest and trust each other. And that's what trust building really is.
Yeah, I'm going to pivot for our audience of startups who are listening. I want to ask a question. You've seen a lot of startups, early stage, relocate, whether it means come in from another country, go from one state to another, whatever it may be, in early stage. If someone was to be coming into Silicon Valley or El Segundo, what are some ways that an early stage startup can set themselves up for success if they're not from there, and avoid that culture shock?
Oh, that's a really good question.
Thank you.
I think that it's important to find 3 ways to connect to your community in a professional setting, and I think it's important to find 3 ways to connect in your community that are not professional but may turn into that. Mm-hmm. And so, for example, doing things that you love, you're going to find other people that you're going to connect with. And so if you both love surfing and you're both happen to be technologists, the level of trust there has just increased. Yeah. And so that's what I always recommend to my friends and my clients is to try and connect in 3 ways professionally and 3 ways personally, and to do those 3 things every week. To do one thing for each of those things every week.
So come in with a balanced perspective. Like, don't just, we had Doug in here earlier talking about having your head down when you're trying to create something, but you're saying, hey, season that with a little bit of perspective. Be balanced. Look for those hobbies outside of what you're doing so that you could find connections.
Absolutely. Hobbies is important.
Yeah, I love that. Why do you do what you do? Why do you love it?
I love the people part of what I do.
I couldn't tell. Sorry.
People yeah. come to me with problems, and they pay me a crazy amount of money per hour to ask me for my advice. So how couldn't I love what I do? I'm being paid to state my opinion. Yeah. I mean, that's really awesome. And then it's being able to see, especially if you've seen the problem before, how you can help a person, and then to see the fruit of that is really rewarding.
You got tip of your tongue?
No.
Okay. Yeah, you were looking at me like I got something. So sorry. Mm-hmm. So you have this attraction to solving problems. You love the people part of it. You've been doing it for now
25 years.
25 years. What's next for you and the firm? Are you going to continue to focus on startups in Silicon Valley and the world over? But is there any other road you look to travel in the future?
That's a great question. I am laser focused on helping companies grow, and I want to help them get formed. I want to help them get financed. I want to see them scale, and I want to help them get bought and sold and do amazing things. I want to help them go into new markets in other countries. I want to help them develop new business models. That is my jam. And really, what does it mean? It means hopefully if I'm successful, the quality of the entrepreneur that I meet will just increase and increase over time. And I've seen that over the last 10, 15 years, is that the more I do this, the smarter I get at identifying who's going to really benefit from my advice, and who I can help go from good to great, or from 1 to 10 or 10 to 100.
Now, with the early stage startups that I know are listening to this and chomping at the bit, they're thinking, Brian, ask them about fundraising and being fundable. With the 25 years experience you have, what are some high-level insights that prepare a startup in an early stage to be fundable? Not like where do they go get the money, but how can they prepare themselves to be fundable?
Sure. I find that an early stage startup is like a three-legged stool. It needs some sort of a legal structure to go inside of and to grow from. It needs a financial function to be able to build, hire people, invest, and it needs a fundraising function to pay for it. And so I like to work with other people that will form part of the three legs of the stool. And I believe you should always look for people that are more than just their one leg. So I'm obviously a lawyer. I spend a lot of time helping people fundraise. I think I'm good at it. I'm not a financial person, but I've seen a lot of financial issues, and I'm sensitive to it, and so I bring in experts, and so I try and always make sure that around the table there are three legs to the stool. When I see and meet an entrepreneur, how do I know if they're fundable, or what is my spider sense? It's the quality of the introduction that is made to me. So if I meet somebody off the street, I can't really represent them because I have no idea who they are. If I represented anybody off the street, I'd be poor. So I've got to have some filters, and so the quality of if you're a startup founder and you want to get introduced to an investor, find another startup founder that investor has already invested in, and ask that person to make the introduction to you. That is the best introduction you could ever get to an investor. Now, obviously, I'm a lawyer. I represent companies. I can make you an introduction to an investor. I know a lot of them, and some of them are my very good friends. But they know that I'm a lawyer. I'm a salesman. They know I'm not a technologist. So the quality of the introduction, sure, the trust factor, they'll know that the legal structure is solid. They'll know that I'm a good guy, and they won't be worried about that. But it doesn't have the validation of the other tech founder that is what they fell in love with. Yeah.
So one last question, it may just be a different version of what I just asked you.
Sure.
If you yourself, with all your experience, if you were investing yourself in a startup, what is the one thing that you would look for as a quality company?
It's always going to be the person for me.
The person.
That's the only thing that I can judge. It's are you exceptional as a founder? And that is a combination of so many things. It's your IQ, your EQ, your leadership skills, your technology insights, your grit, your ability to work hard, your experience, all of that. And then how do you get introduced? Who do you know that I know? What are our points in common? And that's how I fall in love with founders.
Nice. I love it. Well, I want to make sure I get it right. Louis?
Thank you, Brian.
Yeah, thanks for joining us today. I really appreciate you stopping by. Brian, you got any parting?
I do not. I'm fascinated. It was a great conversation. I mean, you seem like somebody who you're more than capable and willing and able to help a lot of people, and I'm sure you do. And you've just really impressed me today. So thanks.
Yeah. Love your energy, man.
Thanks, guys.
Yeah, all right, appreciate it.